Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Corrections. Minister, I understand the Stringybark facility, which has an operational capacity of 160 beds, is currently empty. I've been informed that the only barrier to it operating is the requirement for razor wire on the existing fencing. I've also been advised that for under $1 million, the necessary fencing and other security updates could be rapidly completed and that this centre could be fully staffed and operational within 6 weeks. Can you please outline whether this has been considered as a means of addressing the current crisis in corrections and in particular the overflowing watch houses? And if not, why not? Thank you.
Minister for Corrections.
Thank you, Member for Johnston. And we have considered all options in relation to this, Member for Johnston, but I just want to clarify why we are in such a crisis situation. We know for the last 8 years the Labor government failed to invest in the prison system, which has resulted in overcrowding and overflowing into our watch houses. This is not ideal, but this is what a legacy the Labor government have left us to deal with. And we're dealing with that because we have got a master plan. We're moving forward with that master plan. In fact, we are over and above our master plan in relation to number of beds because the CLP is committed to keeping the community safe. Keeping the community safe is the #1 priority for the government. Unlike the Labor government, Madam Speaker, who let it go through the roof. They let people just go off and do what they want to do and continue to commit crimes and keep our community unsafe.
Take your seat, please, Minister. What's your point of order, Member for Johnston?
Standing Order 110, relevance. That was not the question I asked, Minister.
I think he's got plenty of time to answer your question. He's got more than 2 minutes. Minister, you have the call.
Thank you. Yeah, so, Madam Speaker, yes, we have considered that section, but ultimately we have committed, Madam Speaker, to moving out of that area. Part of the commitments to the CLP is to make the Holts at Howard Springs the prison precinct, and that's where we're going to move and install our prisons because it's important that we keep it all together because, again, the CLP are thinking about budget, thinking about money and thinking about resources. Having places spread right across the Northern Territory is expensive. And, of course, we've got staff numbers as well, which is another issue, another legacy left over by the previous government. So, in relation to putting that fence up, it's not $1 million, Madam Speaker. It's over $6 million, in fact, to get that fence put up. So if this government is going to rationalise its spending, and spending $6 million for a year or so does not make sense to me, Madam Speaker, not to mention the issues in relation to the staffing that will have to spread it across another facility. We already know, because of the lack of investment by the previous Labor government, staffing is at a crisis point. And that's why I've introduced, or I will introduce tomorrow, legislation to help ease that pressure point in a very short term. But we need to deal with this corrections crisis caused by the Labor government in a really thoughtful manner to make sure we don't waste government money, we keep staff safe, and we also keep prisoners safe. And more importantly, Madam Speaker, we need to keep the community safe. That is the #1 priority in our government. I noticed the objection about watch houses. Madam Speaker, that was brought in by the previous Labor government. They put the prisoners into the watch house. We are dealing with that issue. We are moving forward because our #1 priority is to get them out of there. But unfortunately, Madam Speaker, you can't just blow up a prison overnight. It's not just a matter of getting a little balloon, it pops, here it goes. Prisons are expensive. Prisons take time because they need to be done correctly to make sure the staff are safe. And I want to have a big shout out to the prison staff, Madam Speaker. Prison staff do a wonderful job in a very, very difficult situation caused by the previous Labor government.
My question is to the Minister for Corrections. Minister for Corrections, yesterday you said in relation to the fencing of the Stringybark facility, and I quote from Hansard, in relation to that fence, it is not $1 million, it is over $6 million to get that fence put up. Minister, can you confirm that this is in fact the cost to fence the whole of the Berrima Correctional Centre and not just the Stringybark facility? Thank you.
Minister for Corrections.
Thank you for the question. And look, ultimately, Member for Johnston, the CLP government is about protecting Territorians. And we are going to do what it's takes to make sure the Territory is a safe place to be. And I want to make sure that it's very clear that if you commit a crime in the Northern Territory, we're going to find a bed for you. There's no question about that because that's what Territorians want. And they, August last year, sent a really loud and boisterous lesson to everyone in here that that's what we need to do. That's their #1 priority, and we're going to work hard to make sure the community is safe. So in relation to Stringybark, Member for Johnston, that's a site that was previously used as a life skills unit. It was a low security, and then it was transformed into some rehab and basically a place where you go with your sober up shelter, along with some other services. Since then, that facility has been basically left to go. There's been no work done to it, and the $6 million that I spoke about includes getting it ready to use as a facility to hold prisoners. That's going to include fire upgrades, mechanical ventilation upgrades, CCT upgrades, ICT connectivity, and also connectivity to government work, strengthening doors and rooms, installation and commissioning of intercoms, bathroom upgrades and modifications, plumbing, electrical, painting, general business works, and of course upgrading the security fence. So it's a bigger project in relation to getting that project up and running, when ultimately the CLP plan is to make Holtz the area, the precinct for prisons. That's where we're going to move, because we know that the previous Labor government left us in $11 billion worth of debt. We don't have a massive amount of money to spend on these correction officers and these correction facilities, because the previous Labor government stuffed it up so badly that we just haven't got a big fat cheque to spend. So it's all about efficiency, Member for Johnston, to move into one area so we can make sure that we offer the better service to rehabilitate some of these prisoners. Because remember, I know the Labor government failed to break the cycle of offending, but that's another one of our priorities. We want to make sure that if you're a prisoner and you're in prison, that you get access to rehabilitation, you get access to education, and you get access to service to make you a better person when you come out. Because it's not only about putting someone in a cell and leaving them there for whatever term that the judges ordered, it's about rehabilitation. And we know that through staff shortages, some of those services have been cut at the moment, but we want to make sure that the whole prison facility is better, and we need to do that by efficiencies. And using just that Stringybark complex is not in our master plan. We want to move everything out to Holtz, so we want to make sure we don't just waste taxpayers' money. We know the Labor government loved doing that, and they were very good at it, and there's a whole string of examples about that, but we're about moving the prison precincts to Holtz to make sure that that's good for the territory economy.